So, despite after this chapter is going to have a lot of people talking about the one specific panel of Zoro, for better or worse, people are going to be talking about it. And I guess this chapter is pretty simple other than that because it just focuses on Luffy, Zoro, and Kid, and also the Golden Kagura, which is being hosted by Queen, and how everything you knew was going to go awry. Things are going to get very chaotic from here on in, at least for Luffy and Zoro. So, with the cover page, we have Lola with a quirk trying to ask Gotti to marry her. We know that's a quirk. She asked Frankie the same thing back in Thriller Bark. So this is nothing new. This has to play a role. It might not be popular, but Pound is still alive. So he's probably going to reunite with Lola and Chiffon at some point to have that closure. It may have something to do with them coming to Wano, possibly. Post Wano, we don't know because it has to tie with Big Mom. It has to. There's no reason to keep Pound alive, and there's no reason to have Lola and Chiffon, which we know Lola's indebted to Nami. So, as he knew, we knew Luffy was going to go nuts because of what happened with the Oshiroko, because of the symbolism with Otama. The father just treated it like a joke right in front of Luffy. Luffy's expression. We knew he was going to do something. We speculated what that was. But I think I would have preferred Conqueror's Haki because no matter what, he would have been caught anyway. Or at least they would have seen what happened. But here, he just goes for the most destructive way possible. He doesn't just punch them, he goes gear third, uses elephant gun. By the way, I love the panel where Luffy's expression when he's punching down, that's great. Of course, it alerts a lot of people around the Golden Kagura. And Queen notices this right away, and this is where things get really hectic. Of all the places Luffy and Zoro ended up, so, and I do find it interesting, it is focusing on Luffy and Zoro. See none of the rest of the Straw Hats. Not even, we're going to find out what happens next chapter. And that's another thing, too. The people that are going off about what happened with Zoro, for better, the ones who are laughing their asses off about what happened to Zoro, or the people that are just like, the hardcore Zoro fans are probably not going to like this chapter for obvious reasons. But the fact is, we don't know what's going to happen next to the rest of the Straw Hats. I have my thoughts on that, but I'll get into that. We see Kid, he's looking on. And I did find it funny because it's like, what the hell is that idiot thinking? He's like, oh, this gives us an opportunity. But the second he says that, the buildings get split in half, so Zoro's joined up with Luffy. So our fears that the two most problematic people were Luffy and Zoro. Zoro did not get lost because, if you remember, Zoro was going off to try and find Luffy to try to stop him from doing anything stupid, but he ends up doing something stupid himself. But yeah, so we knew this was going to happen, so I do want to point that out. I do like Zoro coming in. He's like an epic entrance. It's like, you've already ruined everything. You just can't keep it down and slip quietly. Meanwhile, you have Kid and Killer, who's like just looking on about this. If you notice in one of the panels, actually, Killer's actually laughing. He still can't control himself, but Kid is just freaking out. It's like, of all people, Kid is like, oh, these guys are idiots. They're like the worst. So Luffy says they started it because they threw a ton away of Ashiroko, and then Zoro, because he noticed how important that was to Otama, he's like, oh, I'm going to have to cut them into pieces. So he's joining Luffy in this raid. And he's like, why does everyone care about Ashiroko? By the way, I'm surprised Queen didn't do something because Queen likes Ashiroko as well. Big Mom likes Ashiroko. And more importantly, you see Scratchman Apoo. He's like, oh, that's Straw Hat Luffy. I heard he's Udon prison, so now he's aware of what's going on. Kid notices Apoo, and immediately you know what's going to lead to. Obviously, Scratchman Apoo betrayed the Kid Alliance to join with Kaido, or we found out he's already affiliated with Kaido. So that battle has to take place, and it did by the end of this chapter. Zoro and Luffy are cutting fodder, but then Queen, with some interesting dialogue, says it just so happens we're going to say bye-bye to a certain someone. I'm personally wiping out one of the Flying Six. That means the seat will be up for grabs. He's saying this to a lot of people, members of the Father, the Gifters and the Pledgers, the Devil Fruit users, I'm assuming. So what happened in the previous chapter was Kaido gave the Toby Robo, the Flying Six, the same opportunity to go up against the Calamities after this, should they find Yamato. That's what the assignment is, right? So it's not just on the Tubby Robot side. Now it's on the Calamity side. Queen wants one of them gone. I'm pretty sure it has to be Who's Who at this point because he's the only one who's a mystery right now. He could be the strongest out of the bunch. We'll have to wait and see. But the Devil Fruit users are closing in. And then what changes the tide of this entire chapter is Scratchman Apoo, he's playing the music, and the title of the chapter is fighting music. You can see what's going on. Luffy gets blasted. You see one panel where he's about to take one of the fight down, and then immediately it cuts to like a panel of Luffy getting tagged in the face with a shockwave of the music. We know what Scratchman Apoo's abilities are. We're just seeing it now against Luffy. And we kind of got a taste of this, a foreshadow back in Film Stampede, because if you remember, Scratchman Apoo did actually clash with Luffy for a small exchange in that movie. So Luffy gets hit, and then this is the part of the chapter where everybody's going to be talking out of nowhere. Scratchman Apoo plays the music, Zoro gets cut. It's a pretty big hit. If you notice, Zoro does not go down. He doesn't lose consciousness like a substantial blow because Zoro was still able to run with Luffy. But then Luffy just gets nailed with a blast. It's similar to what happened with back in Punk Hazard with Caesar, where Luffy got gassed out, so did Robin, so did Frankie. But after that, Zoro got pissed because Luffy let his guard down, and it was only just in the New World. Here, it was like Luffy and Zoro letting the guard down, and that's what happened. So Zoro got cut. Luffy kind of got took down, but it wasn't a one-shot because Luffy he regained consciousness. Zoro still had the stamina. It's like, I mean, stamina's not a problem for Zoro. We know how much he can withstand. So he grabbed Luffy, tried to make break for it. And then Zoro comes up with some interesting dialogue. And I truly think, it makes me think of why Oda had this happen in this chapter with someone like Scratchman Apoo. A couple of reasons. But first off, Zoro says, we can't take damage, we need to run because we won't stand a chance against Kaido, which is true because if they take too much damage, what's going to be left against the Calamities? We know they're going to be a part of the final battle with Onigashima, taking a hit, and Luffy, he's not down and out. In fact, a couple panels later when one of the Beast Pirates actually attacks, Luffy awakes and stretches his neck when Zoro's grabbing a hold of him just to counteract it. And it's like, I'm sorry, Zoro, it's all good, I'm awake. Zoro's like, okay. They ditched the outfits because I guess it runs through the limits. Kind of like the worries that Kinemon had a couple of chapters ago. Now they dropped the disguise, which I don't mind anyway because I kind of like this outfit of Zoro and Luffy specifically anyway. It's going to be chaotic anyway, so now just to move things along. Zoro says that he's having too much trouble, but he's still able to fight, most of all. So Kid comes in, he gets pissed because obviously Apoo betrayed Kid and the Alliance. Kid comes in with Punk Gibson and then just demolishes or crushes. He just crushes Scratchman Apoo, and that's the end. That's how the chapter ends. So this chapter was, in my opinion, was about it wasn't about the Zoro hype, it wasn't about the Luffy hype, it was about the build up to Kid chapter. Now, the part of where Zoro got hit, and there's gonna be some people salivating, and people posting this theory that they're laughing because the theory is Zoro's going to solo Kaido. I don't know who the hell comes up with these theories or why they think that's, but first off, nobody's soloing Kaido, and nor should they. Not even Luffy, okay? If anything, it's going to be a team effort. Luffy's probably going to deliver the final blow, but it's not going to be a solo act on the part of Luffy. And it shouldn't be with Zoro. Do I see Zoro having a role in that final blow? Yes, because there's no point in having Zoro inherit one or two swords to be proven to have some type of effect on Kaido. The reason one of the two swords is the Mito M that Kozuki Oden had. Now it's in Zoro's hand. You don't give Zoro that type of upgrade just for the hell of it, unless it's going to mean something, especially with Oda. Zoro having some type of role within that final confrontation with Kaido, but nobody's soloing Kaido, okay? So nobody should. If you really think that, so no. Kid's not soloing Kaido, Zoro's not soloing Kaido, and neither is Luffy. It's going to be probably a team effort. That's why most of the worst generation here. Second, the people are salivating about Zoro getting hit. The same people are looking at that theory that's soloing Kaido. And I think they enjoy that for the wrong reasons. What matters to me is the narrative of the story and what happens next. If this is what Oda has in store for the story, then fine, as long as it means something. And this is where I think I don't really have an issue with it, because number one, this is not the first time Zoro's taken damage in this arc. Secondly, when Zoro's in critical condition anyway, Zoro usually brings out the best. We've seen that. We haven't seen that in post time skip, which is what a lot of fans have been crowing for, myself included, since coming into Wano. We knew it was going to happen. It's just a matter of when. That's not really a problem to me. And like I said, it's not the first time Zoro's taken some type of damage. In fact, early on in the arc, Zoro took a damage from Hawkins' attacks with the pins. You remember the pins? To protect Luffy and Tama, specifically Tama. After that, in Wano Act 2, he took some damage dealing with Killer. We found that was Kamazu, which a lot of people had a problem with until we found out that Kamazu was actually Killer. And that was kind of like acceptable. Here, he took some damage from Scratchman Apoo. What do all those have in common? Well, Zoro took some trouble from members of the Worst Generation. It wasn't just Nate Fodder members, okay? And outside of like the build-up with Kaido, Oda has made a point to like hype up the Worst Generation in Wano. He's done it with Hawkins. He's doing it with X-Drake. Now he's doing it with Scratchman Apoo. And I don't think Kid's attack, despite how epic it was, I don't think it was a one-shot. Because number one, he's part of the Worst Generation. Number two, this is another thing too. People are talking about, oh, Scratchman Apoo is low tier. First off, it ain't about strength. Secondly, we don't know how strong he really is. We get the perception because he's somewhat of a chicken and he betrayed Kid. Like, he's not really much. He's low tier, right? But we still don't know how strong he really is. Like, if he's able to do damage to the likes of Luffy and Zoro in this chapter, then he's not really low tier. We could assume that, and there's no reason for Kid to go out of his way to like recruit someone, despite the fact that he's a traitor, if he wasn't somewhat useful. Same thing with Kaido. You would not recruit someone if they were weak, especially with Kaido. With what we know, he wanted Luffy and Kid to join his crew, be tortured, and to break them so he can join the crew because he knows they're strong. One of the reasons why I think they had Luffy and Zoro in this chapter the way they did is because one, it hyped up Apoo, but at the same time it also hypes up Kid because of that attack. Whether or not that's a one shot, I doubt it. We'll have to wait and see where that goes. But it's fine if you like one character over the other. That's fine. But if the people are going on, what matters most to people is one panel Zoro getting cut because it goes against a theory that people thought he was going to solo Kaido. It's like that's pretty over the top if you ask me. Outside of the Straw Hats, one of the people that need a reboot and they need to be hyped up for sure is Kid. He needs redemption after what's happened to him. So for sure. So that I don't have a problem with. And this is one of the things why I think, one of the main reasons why I think Oda had Zoro cut and Luffy kind of like damaged it somewhat. We'll see where they go from here. But I hope this is the reason. It's because if you take Luffy and Zoro out of the equation, technically the only ones that can put up a fight, top tier beef pirates, are Sanji and Jinbei, and we don't know what's going to happen to them either. So if you take them out of the equation, that leaves the Straw Hats, and they're the ones out, excluding the Monster Trio and Jinbei. The rest of the Straw Hats, they need a 1v1 most of all. And secondly, Brook, Robin, and Chopper, I don't care what anybody says, they need a power up, an upgrade in this arc, some way, shape, or form. I hope they have more than one battles in this arc. So I personally think, because of what Zoro said in this chapter, it's foreshadowing because Zoro and Luffy ain't gonna have too many fights until the final battle now, and that's fine because if you take them out of the equation, that gets the spotlight to the rest of the Straw Hats. I hope that's what happens, and we know it's not just going to be them that gets into trouble, because we saw the silhouette with those watching Jinbei and Rob in the previous chapter, so we know something's going to happen there. I think Zoro got cut in this chapter. He wasn't knocked out, he wasn't KO'd. Do you think that silhouette that was watching Jinbei and Rob, do you think it was Yamato, Kaido's son? And that's another thing too. We know he's going to get married, but who? But to who? One of the members of the Big Bomb Pirates, I'm assuming, but who? It's got to be somebody top tier. Maybe it's Smoothie, because she's a calamity. She's the highest rank outside of Big Mom. Katakuri's not there, so maybe Smoothie, I don't know. God forbid if it's Flampe. But also, there's another thing too I kind of thought about, and I see a lot of people talking about, oh, Kaido's son shouldn't he have been a calamity? Well, the thing is, and we don't know how we kind of know how Kaido feels about Yamato. We don't know how Yamato feels about Kaido yet because we've yet to been introduced to him to become a calamity. And maybe he turned it down because he just didn't want it. I mean, he's obviously shy because he doesn't want to be seen. We'll have to wait and find out. And I don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe this shoots down my theory that Zoro's going to bump into him first. And like I said before, seeing Zoro in a struggle is something we've been looking forward to ever since Wano was mentioned. We knew Zoro's going to have a big role in this arc. We just didn't know what it's going to be. And we still don't know how this is going to end, okay? But all in all, let me know what you guys think down below. Those are my thoughts. That's going to do it for today, guys. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more One Piece. I appreciate that. Catch you guys later. That's, guys. Bye.